Hi there and welcome to the Gazette's weekly Hockey Inside Out show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Gazette and I'm joined this week by my regular partners here, former Canadiens teammates and 1986 Stanley Cup champs Chris Nilan and Rick Green. Well guys, Canadiens beat the Lightning 4-1 Tuesday night in Tampa, 6 straight wins. Rick, what's impressed you most? I mean, they've given up 9 goals over the last 6 games. It looks like they're peaking at just the right time.
They're playing the best that I've seen them for the whole year. I mean, what I really like to see them happening is their ability to jam up the neutral zone. They're not wasting a lot of time and effort by chasing guys when it's not right, and it's making it really difficult on opposition to get through there. And they're really disciplined in that and giving, a lot of teams a hard time. And everybody is so committed. Everybody is focused. Everybody's performing well. They got a good group. They're happy. They're excited. And, this is what it's all about. And at this time of year, and I remember going back in 86, we struggled a little bit in March. And, we got our act going later on in the month to carry on into the playoffs. And I think it's really important for those guys, and obviously realize it with the way the standings work, that they have to play the best they can play each and every shift. And they're doing it. And they're getting their a great game from a lot of guys. And look at Dobush again, standing on his head, making the difference. And when you got a hot goalie like that gives you a chance to win each and every night, it's a good feeling. And they have a lot of good feelings right now, and rightfully so, because they got a lot of guys performing really well. And I would have a lot of concern going into the playoffs playing against these guys.
Bring back memories for you, Knuckles, of maybe 86 when you guys got hot in March?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, certainly, one of the things that impressed me most is the goaltending, And so, listen, I love this team, the talent, all that. They're exciting to watch. They're fast, talented team. I love it. And I hate to keep saying it, but in their own end, I don't know if they can sustain that in the playoffs. They give up so many high danger chances. They are, I think, bottom 3 in the league and expected goals against. Like, those high danger chances, I get it, the goalie's playing great. I give him high marks. Can you sustain that over the course of a playoff round? You got to stand on your head every night. And that's the difficulty I see. And it's great they can score goals. I get all that. But that's been their Achilles heel during this season, if there's been one, and that's the one. And if they can get better at that, and listen, how many 5 goals against in the last 6 games, or whatever it is?
9 goals last 6 games, yeah.
9 goals, sorry.
And 8 straight with 3 or less goals allowed.
Yeah, so it's gotten better, but you look at the one-on-one coverage. We talked about that, man-on-man. Dobson last night, losing Gensel, right? You can't, there's nobody there to protect you if you lose your guy. There's no fail-safe behind you. So those are the things that worry me. Again, don't get me wrong. I love this team. I love what they've done. But that's an area that could hurt them in the playoffs, because we know what happens in the playoffs, right? Those big teams, those talented teams, and the Habs are a talented team. But those big teams playing in your end of the rink, you got to be able to defend better and not give those high-scoring danger chances. So, yeah, and as far as bringing back memories, yeah, we struggled in March early, and then we bounced back. Patrick obviously had a great playoff. We're one of the best teams in the league in goals against. And that's a combination of goaltending and the way we played in our own end.
Well, Rick Dobush is starting to bring back some memories of Yaroslav Halak, maybe, in the way he played. He's looked more controlled in his net since they made the goalie coach change, bringing in Marco Marciano to replace, to take over, coming up from Laval. I mean, that breakaway the Lightning had at the end of one of the periods, and Dobush came out almost to the blue line. And Mike Johnson had a great line on TSN, the color commentary, saying, what are we, back in 1988 or something? He comes out and challenges guys.
He's not afraid to challenge in all areas. And you look at, a number of situations where he's going at the shooter and he's well out of the blue paint. And that's okay, providing that those defense are aware and sharp to make sure they're there for the rebound and clean up some of the stuff that they had trouble with earlier on in the year. And I agree with Nux. There's occasions where they are having the breakdown defensively where they're losing their guy, but I have noticed a difference in their physical play. I mean, everybody there on the defensive group seems to be much more involved physically and hitting guys and competing, protecting the front of the net more than they had been before. And I think that's a step in the right direction. And, I think that they're reaping the benefits of their good gritty play, which we were concerned about them not having. And they seem to have geared up to the point where they're getting success doing that, and they're effective at it, and the opposition feels their presence when they are involved physically, and that's a good thing.
Well, Knuckles, it's been over a week now. I mean, Dovish is playing great. The team has decided he's not going to speak to the media anymore. Does that make sense to you? And you wish maybe you had that luxury when you were playing? You didn't have to talk to guys like me?
No, I didn't. It didn't bother me. But listen, you get the odd knob in there, right? That's a knob, and you deal with it. But for whatever reason, my whole thing is you better keep playing like this, because once you don't, they're going to cut your balls off.
Rick, do you wish you maybe didn't have to speak with the media when you played?
Well, I didn't draw a lot of attention, so that was a bonus. And when I did, the cassette recorder was recording my statement, which was not very often, but it's different. I mean, everybody wants to know and get the scoops and get a little bit of a feel for where each and every player is at. It's interesting to see that they're kind of doing that to him, but it's what it is, and if it works, brilliant move.
I think there was less media guys around though when you guys were playing, right, compared to what you see now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just you and Glenn Cole.
Glenn Cole is a and Red.
yeah,
Red.
Yeah, I remember Red.
No,
Red, not threatening you, Rick, one time, but telling you you needed to play better.
yeah. He did. I tried to avoid that, but I couldn't avoid it all the time because he forewarned me. He said, "You better get going because you're going to read an awful article about yourself tomorrow." And I said, "Okay, enough said. Get my act going." So I took that as motivation.
Red, there'll never be another one like him. Knuckles, Marty said recently that his players have reached the point where they can almost coach themselves on the bench. Like there's times like when things aren't going well and he hears them, they're correcting themselves, they're getting on each other. They're saying that's not acceptable. We need to do better. Did you guys play for teams that were like that at some point where the players were almost coaching themselves?
yeah, I mean, when we had Jean Perron, hello, our two coaches were Larry and Bob. Like, and again, they kept us together. It was difficult because we had that conversation talking about when we went in, we talked to Serge, guys, weren't happy with what was going on with the coach. Serge backed the coach, which is fine. He's the general manager. He made that decision. It was basically shut up and play, worry about your own job. And once that was said, I think Bob and certainly Larry, the two of them, really, kept the guys focused. I said, listen, forget about that. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's take care of what we have to take care of. And that's leadership on a grand scale. Like those two guys were incredible that way. And everybody jumped in and followed suit. We put on the blinders. We put in the cotton in our ears. And we got going, and things worked out for us, fortunately.
I think this situation is a little different, though, Rick. I think you guys maybe had lost confidence per hour. I think this is a case where the Canadiens have so much confidence in the system that Marty's put in place over the last 4 years that they've fully bought in, and know what they're doing wrong and know when they're making mistakes.
Well, and it's all about accountability. And we had a group that were accountable for their play, and I think it's very similar to the group they have now. And everybody wants to do well, and nobody wants to be the one that causes a possible loss. And that's a good thing. That's a good situation, and I think they really feed off each other. And if Marty doesn't have to coach that much, then just break out the iPad, because obviously the iPad gets more work than I can imagine ever doing in the course of a game. Which, if it works, fine. But I just I don't understand how much they can analyze in such a short term. But if it works, go for it.
Was the iPad there when you were coaching, Rick, or did it come in after? That was
No,
later, eh? I know
it's
you hated it, Knuckles, the iPad on the bench.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. Listen, I get it. It's a different era. I think a lot of times you see guys when it's a positive thing happen, a goal, they're all on the iPad. But when they throw that pizza up the middle, I'm not sure if they're looking at it. Um, who knows? Maybe they are. You don't see it every time, right, when they're looking at it. But listen, if you're ready, you get off the ice, and I know you might have a couple lines before you go out again. You got some time to sit there, but it's always been pay attention to the game for us. Get ready. You might be called, whatever. And guys looking at I don't like it. I never did. I think one of the best NHL clips ever was Chris Kreider and Zibanejad, Mika with the dry hair. He came back to the bench after play. I don't know, he missed the net or something. He's looking at it, and Kreider grabbed the thing and smashed it on the ground. I love that. Like, get refocused, get ready to get on the ice, put that behind you, let's go.
That's probably something that Cole Caulfield would have done to Nick Suzuki if Nick had given him the iPad, showing him that he was wide open.
For the empty net goal, yeah, that was. I thought, well, you know what, Nick? To his credit, I mean, you see so many times when players try and do that, and they end up not scoring in the empty net, right? So he saw the open shot, and I guess he took it.
It looks easy, right? Yeah. But that defender was standing up. He's ready to cut the pass there. Now, if Suzuki pulled up, and try to make a play to him, but err on the side of caution.
Well, 47 goals for Caulfield, 0 empty netters, none this season.
Good.
Rick, on Tuesday, the Canadiens announced that Alexandre Carrier, a defenseman, will be out 2 to 4 weeks with an upper body injury. They called up Adam Engstrom from Laval. He didn't play against Tampa, but they called him up instead of David Reinbacher. Were you surprised to see that? I know Engstrom's a left-hand shot, but he plays on the right side. Reinbacher, obviously a right-hand shot, but were you surprised to see them make that decision?
No, not really. He's a little more experienced guy as far as the NHL goes, and like you touched on, he's a left-hand shot, but he plays most of his career on the right side. So not a big deal. They felt confident that he could step in there in the event that they need him, and more confidence in his overall play, and let Reinbacher. He's had his share of injuries, so they got him going on a pretty good track right now. Where he is, don't disrupt that. Engstrom can come in. We've seen what he's able to do. He handles himself very well. Good size, mobile, smart guy. And he adds depth to the blue line in the event that they need him, and that's not a bad thing.
How big of a loss is Carrier? Because I'm not surprised he's hurt. I mean, the guy takes so many big hits. He's fearless out there. But was it a big part of the penalty kill also? How big of a loss is it losing him for 2 to 4 weeks?
Well, this is the next man up. Again, like he's had his struggles at times too. I get he's a right-hand shot and all that. Not the biggest kid. I know he's a gamer. He does get hit quite a bit, and it's just next man up. So, and as far as Reinbacher, I'm sure coaching staff down there is talking to management here, saying, and Marty, obviously, but maybe they felt Engstrom deserves to be up here and is playing better down in Laval than the other kid is. So you got to take that into account. 1, 2, maybe they're looking at Reinbacher and saying, listen, he's had that big injury with the ACL. We want to get him a full season down here and the playoffs to get that experience, and we'll start him anew next year. So a couple different things it could be. But we'll see. I'm fine. I'm fine with that call up. The kid's been here before. He looked like he could move the puck well. He defend okay. So, it's not an easy jump to make, but the kid has some talent. He can move his feet.
Rick, do you think part of it might be not wanting to put Reinbacher in a situation in a tight playoff race where maybe he makes a mistake and that it has an impact on his confidence?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we all know that guys go through spells where they do miss a little bit of their confidence, and even more so, back there in the blue line where any mistake can be a real costly one. And you have to hand each personality differently. And I think that it's a testament to the organization. They've done a good job in handling their young guys and putting them in situations where they think they can progress in a positive way. And I believe that decision with Reinbacher is one of they gave it some thought, but not that much thought, knowing that he's better off there, and let him continue to progress. And the future is bright for him. Let's just not rush the situation. And they're good at understanding when and what to do with certain of their personnel.
Well, Knuckles, I know you would have been happy to see Jackeye in the lineup last night. Marty had Matheson with Dobson, Gooley with Jackeye, and Struble with Hudson. Do you like that pairing or those pairings? And do you like Jackeye playing with Gooley?
Yeah, listen, I just like when he's in the lineup. I know there's times he's struggled. He's been he's been in tough this year, like in and out of the lineup again, and not playing a lot when he's there. So yeah, I just like to see him get an opportunity and do the best he can with it. I'm sure he's had, it's tough to me when you're not playing all the time. You get thrown in there all of a sudden. It's coming at you. It's easy to say, oh, he made a mistake there. He didn't. When you're in and out of the lineup, that's not an easy thing. But when you get your opportunity, you got to do the best you can with it. You got to put your game out there. And, I think he's tried to do that considering all the stuff that's happened with him this season.
Yeah, you like those pairings, Rick?
I didn't mind them. I'm just hopeful that Arbor will take advantage of his opportunity and make sure that he tries to do all the little things right. And it's a tough situation when you're sitting in the stands and then you throw them out in playoff mode, which they basically have been for a while, and expect him to deliver a perfect game. So physical presence is going to be big. He's a big part of that, keeping the opposition honest, and hopefully he'll play within his capabilities and keep it very simple, positionally be dependable, and he can be effective. And I still believe he's a big part of the hockey club, and I hope that some of the bumps in the road that he's had, he can look beyond that and build confidence and continue to contribute what he can contribute to this group back there in the blue line, because he's a quality kid.
Noah Dobson, Rick, has contributed a lot to this team. He's really impressed me. And you see now, we've seen why Kent Hughes is willing to give up so much to get him. What do you like most about just watching Noah Dobson this season?
He doesn't draw a lot of attention. He's not a big wow type player, but he's a very effective player with his size, really mobile. He's got a great shot, and very seldom do you see him making bad plays. And those are all the things, ingredients you like to see in a defenseman, and he's done a hell of a job. Everybody was probably ready to look down on him with that type of contract, and the expectations were he was going to be like a superstar back there on the blue line. But he's understood, and he has before, what he needs to do to be effective, and he does it each and every shift. And he's a big part of that blue line, and it's nice to see that he's able to do a lot of good things, and he's going to help the club out down the stretch here.
Well, Knuckles, I know you like seeing Arbor in the lineup. What did you think when you saw him lined up at forward?
I'm glad they put him in, but that is so difficult to do. Mm-hmm. Go from D to forward, and likewise forward back to D. Can you imagine that? Yeah. So to get up there and try and get involved like he did, he had like 5 hits or something. He was trying to get involved as much as he could. Not an easy thing. Positioning, defending. All of a sudden you're out at the point trying to front a D-man who's slippery, trying to get by you. You got to know when to get to the wall. You got to be able to give your D-man outs. You got to move your feet, maybe jump into holes to, show that defenseman you want the puck. Give him an opportunity to have an out, and because he's getting pressure. So those are all little things that you don't think, right? He probably doesn't think of those things. He's playing D-man, he's playing D all the time. And that's not an easy thing to do. He was thrust into it. I was happy the way he responded. This kid has stayed positive. Guys love him. And, it's just, it's good to see him get an opportunity. That's all.
Rick, as someone who played defense and coached defense, could you see Arbor becoming a forward, or is it too difficult to try and make that adjustment at the NHL level?
I see it a little too much for him. I prefer the type of player that he is. I think he could be much more effective back there on the blue line, the type of guy that the Canadiens need, with the way that he plays. And, it's a tough transition to move up to a forward after playing D for so long. And, I think it's short-lived. I think they're going to try and tune him up to become a good, solid defenseman. I think that's where he deserves to play.
All right.
I remember Rick Chartra. He played D and forward. Scotty had them both. Shotty was pretty good at that. He's a good D man, and they put him up at forward, and so he was quite the utility player back before utility players.
He did have John Cordick too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
They moved
Johnny Cordick.
I remember him going away, after the season, and him coming back, he looked like he was inflated by balloons with whatever his nutrition was. But he made that adjustment. Of course, a different kind of player back then.
Remember, the Leafs drafted Wendell Clark as a defenseman and turned him into a forward, right? One of the success stories do with that.
You don't have to be that smart, really, to be a forward, because a lot of them are very, very simple, and I'm not just going to appreciate that.
Yeah.
No.
Just keep backing in to your assets, your goalie.
That's it for this week's Hockey Inside Out show. I hope you all enjoyed it. We'll have 3 bonus episodes coming up over the next few days, so you can look for those. The Canadiens are back in action Thursday night in New York against the Rangers, before wrapping up their 5-game road trip Saturday in New Jersey against the Devils. Then the Devils will be back at the Bell Center for a rare Sunday game in Montreal. Busy week for the Canadiens. Anyway, the Hockey Inside Out show is also available now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel. We'll be back with a new Hockey Inside Out show next Wednesday.